Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, 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 everyone. It is Lindsay Schroeder, spiritual wellness, intuitive business, and mindset coach with Our and R. And today you are joining me for day 3 of my mini shadow work challenge with the one and only Jessica Murray. We're going to get her set here with us. And today, the two of us are talking all about integration over alleviation. And I am so let's get Jess in here and let's dive in because this is such a good topic, guys. Like, we can't wait for this. Hello, darling. How are you?
Hi! I've been so excited waiting for this
Thank
day.
you. Yesterday's was so good. I loved talking about what shadow work was on day 1. So we'll recap really quickly for anybody who's tuning in, and this is the first one. Jess and I are both very called to shadow work. So we did a fun live stream chat where we just discussed shadow work, and we started to touch on things like conflict avoiding and people pleasing and the way these shadow aspects show up in our lives and how transformational shadow work has really been for the both of us, that we decided we wanted to do a little bit more, take it a little bit further, and support you guys more fully. So on day 1, which was on Tuesday, I did a live stream all about what shadow work is, where we just went in and really defined what it was. I talked about what it meant for me and how it supported me, what it looks like, some of my favorite shadow work practices. Just did day 2 yesterday, so why don't you recap that for us right now?
Yeah, so day 2 is all about conflict avoidance, how we handle the hard conversations, what we need to be looking for when we are avoiding conflict, and how that's actually a huge shadow aspect for us. And it's an opportunity for us to look inward to really see what needs our attention.
Yeah. So right now I'm typing into the chat, who here is a people pleaser? Like, if you avoid conflict, if you are a people pleaser, we would love for you to not out yourself, but own it, because that's one of the things that we really want to talk about today. It is not about you going, I'm a people pleaser and I need to alleviate it, and I'm so like judgmental of myself. We are really here on day 3 to talk about what it means to focus on integration over alleviation, because both of us have really started to see that, especially in our space, shadow work is one of the things that there's not a lot of education, there's not a lot of support, there's not a lot of how to, there's not a lot of people holding space for deep alchemy when it comes to shadow work in a safe and healthy and aligned way. So when we're saying, are you a recovering people pleaser? Do you conflict avoid? We are not going, ooh, that's shitty, you need to fix that. We're saying this is a space of lesson. This is a space of going deeper, of integrating that, re-owning something, because so much of our shadow comes from a disowned place. And I know Jess is like the queen of talking about conflict avoidance and former people pleasing and what that means. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about what integration over alleviation looks like with people pleasing and conflict avoidance?
Mm. Yeah. When it comes to people pleasing, conflict avoidance, it's really not about not having those conversations or not being able to compromise with others. That's not what we're saying. We're talking about when you're at work and you're shy to raise your hand, or you're trying to have really in-depth conversations with loved ones, but you feel so afraid of the other component of that, right? So people pleasing is a deep rooted behavior that usually stems from childhood, when we're in a dismissive type of environment, when we're not able to speak our truth. There's some type of negative, sorry, my screen keeps going dark. There's some type of negative connotation when it comes to speaking up. Hence why
Yeah.
we feel that people pleasing or doing things in other people's favor will allow us to create a tighter bond, will allow us to become more accepted or loved, right? At the end of the day, as a human, all we want to be is loved and accepted. And people pleasing is a really deep rooted way that allows us to do that, right? Or avoiding that conflict because we don't want to rock the boat. But in truth, you're I'm just going to say a different word. You're actually dishonoring yourself. So when we talk about integration with people pleasing or not, or avoiding those conflicts, we really need to take a deep step and look within of why we're avoiding. We really need to get really clear on what the fear is behind that. And something I love to do, I do with my clients, I do with myself, is I love to play out the outcomes in my mind and really ask those questions of like, what is the worst case scenario? I don't get the promotion. Well, at least I asked, right? Or having that hard conversation and worst comes worst, my partner ends up leaving me, right? But at least you spoke your truth. So what I'm getting at is that when you can have that inner dialogue, when you can start really looking inward of why am I doing my thinking? Why you're actually avoiding or people pleasing that doesn't feel good. 2, what is this showing you? Why are you so afraid of it? And 3, are you ready to face it? Are you ready to move through it? And we're going to talk about later how to actually integrate that, or more so how to actually move through those conversations. So integrating is all about understanding, giving it compassion, and learning how to work through it.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I wouldn't necessarily identify myself as a people pleaser or as a former people pleaser when I was hearing like how people would describe it. But when someone started to talk to me about like seeing yourself as a female and how you show up in relationship, both in partnership with clients, with our friends, with our family, and they were like, oh, that like aggressive service provider of like, oh, I'm going to bend over backwards for you and I'm going to do this. And like all of this, like serve, like you lose yourself in your partner, you lose yourself in your client, you lose yourself in this family member, this friend. They're like, that's like people
Codependency.
like,
Yeah.
oh, yes. And the biggest thing for me is looking at it like the iceberg. People pleasing, bending over backwards in service, like doing for others. That is the symptom, guys. That's not the root cause. That's not the imbalance. That's the thing that you're seeing. And what Jess and I are talking about is integration is going below the tip of the iceberg and asking yourselves those questions of like, okay, why do I do that? What do I feel like I'm getting out of this? What am I avoiding by doing this? And so this like over giving in relationships comes back to this wound that I have of like inherent unworthiness that I learned from a parent. And so when you learn that like you need to do things to be worthy, I need to get an A, I need to do these chores, I need to like check this off the list to be worthy of love, to be worthy of, and as we mentioned, survival. Acceptance is survival to us as humans. Our brain goes, oh, if they don't like me, if they reject me, I could get cast out, I could die. And we go all the way to this really dramatic end because we are primal beings still, in a sense. So when we are not accepted, when we are rejected, it means, oh my God, I might die. And the body starts to react to, oh my God, I might die. And then our energy starts to react to that. It is so much more than just like, oh yeah, I like don't speak up in that meeting. Okay, but why? Why do you have this tightness in the throat and this fear of speaking up? Are you having a fear that you don't have enough valid information, that your voice isn't strong enough, that you don't belong in that room? That's what we want to talk about. Speaking of throat chakra. So Jeff, why don't you talk to us, right? Why don't you talk to us a little bit about what integration means to you? Because integration, like alignment, is one of those spiritual terms that gets thrown around all the time. And this is something that like we really bonded on, that it's integration over alleviation. So why don't we kick off with really defining what it means to integrate, since that's something that like you guys have probably heard on so many different spiritual accounts. We want to make sure that we're all defining it for ourselves. And we love to look at the difference between like, okay, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to me? And how does that meet in the space of our practice?
Yes. Integration. To me, integration is, you know, when it comes to anything, in all honesty, is integration is actually healing the root. Alleviation is putting a Band-Aid on it. I love
Yeah.
that. And when we talk about integration of our shadow, it's not to remove it, because you're never going to not have a fear or have a negative attribute or reaction. It's how you can move through with it, right? Understand it, give it compassion, befriend it, right? So integration for me with the shadow is making those disowned parts of us conscious, and we're being more aware of those so that we can give it more understanding, give it more love, and exactly what Lindsay's saying is heal the root. That's the side effect, right? People pleasing or codependency, right? But we need to figure out why. And it's all usually exactly what she was saying, is that it's all about survival mode and these abandonment issues or not being loved and accepted. At the end of the day, our ego thinks we're going to die. So we need to create that connection. As humans, we need to have connection. But it's really discerning what is actually alleviating versus the integrating and healing, and learning how to really understand yourself and be confident in your worthiness, right?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. So much so. So for me, integration is the bringing of that thing back inside of myself. I see my disowned aspects as like I take them and I try and push them as far away outside of me. So that may be taking it out of my heart, taking it out of my body and pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, or shoving it down so far deep down that I can't see it, boxing it up, tying it up, hiding it. And integration is either opening that box and letting it find its place back inside me, mind, body, and soul, or bringing this thing that I have disowned. So I would love to take this time for both Jess and I to share with you guys kind of like a case study of what that might look like or feel like. Maybe it's from us specifically or from a client, but what does integration of a shadow aspect really look like? Because I think so often, and one of the things that Jess and I really loved about each other's work is that we're not just about talking the high level of like, here's the theory. We want to help you guys bring it down, ground it down, and really understand not only what this looks like as a practice, but what it looks and feels and tastes and sounds like, and how it is worn when someone does the shadow work practice and then gains that benefit. So we're each going to share with you guys a little bit about what shadow work has done either for us or for a client, something that we've seen, and like what integration really means for us. So you want to kick it off?
Yeah, so I'll use myself as an example. I've been very public about this. I was a people pleaser to the core, more so on the codependent side, where if I didn't want to do something, I didn't. It was more about going with the crowd versus maybe not feeling super in alignment with that, and then I'm deciding to take a step back. So I've had this unconscious pattern playing out my whole life, really, until I started realizing I'm not feeling great with like my relationship. I'm not getting what, excuse me, I'm not getting what I want out of my life, my relationships, my business dynamics, etc. And it hit me, something feels off. I didn't really know how to tune into that, right? So with the help of some amazing people, I did a lot of subconscious work around my father wound, which it really came through. And what was really transparent for me was that I identified doing things out of alignment, because that showed me that acceptance is there, no matter if it's a little string attachment to a friend that's not giving me the same type of reciprocation, if that's staying too long in a relationship, if that's even with I had a fitness coach at a time and I didn't align with what she was doing, but I felt like, oh, well, I put money into it, I'm going to stay in it. So giving you guys really real examples, but that really came from my father being really absent in my life. And when he was a parent in my life here and there, I really thought that like I need to mute my truth. I need to only speak a certain way so that he would stay at some capacity. So I related staying at some type of capacity was how I can be loved and accepted. So that was a huge shadow part. I'm very aware of it. I'm not trying to disown it anymore now that I'm conscious of it, but it's more about giving it compassion and understanding. When I found that root, it was like so loving. I was not angry, wasn't upset. And now moving through that, I can really identify and see when things are in and out of alignment. So this work is so life-changing. And this is why Lindsay and I are so drawn to bring this to you all and really share our own personal and our other client experiences. This is why we do the work that we do, right? We want to help heal. We want to help integrate this whole shadow aspect of us to really, like she said, bring those parts of us closer to us so we can understand, so therefore we can integrate into our daily life.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so crazy. I mean, it's not that like you're talking about integration when it comes to, people pleasing as it pertains to your father wound. Because the example I'm going to use is also with my father wound.
Always with sure.
There's so many aspects, but especially when I was younger, I was displaying anger. It was coming out in these ways of like, I would be so chill, so calm, so in control, so supportive, all these things. And then every once in a while I would get to this breaking point and get this like anger that would come out. And I subconsciously felt so connected to my dad when people would be like, oh, like that's your dad, like your dad had that anger, like it's showing up in you. And so I disowned this part of me for so long of like, oh, my anger, like it's so bad, I'm such a bad person, they all tell me I'm like my dad. But I was also like thriving on it because I didn't have a connection to him, because I was craving that connection. And part of me subconsciously was going, well, if we can't have a healthy relationship with him, at least other people see him in us, and we get that validation of that relationship, of that connection. And so I was disowning the anger. I was disowning the fact that like I wanted that connection. And once I started doing shadow work around my anger, I brought that in close. I brought that into my heart. And my version of integration versus like, okay, I'm going to disown this or alleviate this, put this over here. Yes, that was good in the sense that I wasn't lashing out in anger. I wasn't bringing my anger to my relationship. So you could say that that was good for a little bit. But what was better was integrating that, really recognizing, okay, my anger does not make me a bad person. Now, there are healthier choices for how I can let my anger out. I started boxing regularly. I was using my anger to like move my body. I was starting to sing a lot more. I was speaking my truth a lot more, not letting things get to that powder keg type point. And then I also did some shadow work around, hey, there's an aspect of me that likes that people see my father in me when this happens. That's okay. I forgive myself for judging myself that I want that. I shunned that for so long that it actually made the anger even bigger, made the anger even fuller, allowed it to like take over my life in different spaces and different times, because I was disowning that aspect of myself. And once I brought that in and brought softness and understanding and compassion to it, I was like, that is my inner child going, I just want my dad to own me, to not disown me. So I don't have to disown the aspect of myself. I can like mother and father my inner child, reintegrate, and then my anger can be this supportive thing that creates art, and my anger can be this supportive thing that moves my body. My anger can be this supportive trigger that goes, this is building up, we should address this, we can deal with this, we can speak on this so it doesn't get to that point. Integration over alleviation. For a long time, it felt like alleviation was the right choice because it was making me and my relationships a little bit safer by going, oh, no, I'm going to put my anger all the way over here. But often in healing, there is that deeper, fuller, more truer, more expansive choice version. And that's to me what shadow work really is going that step deeper. That's beyond just the comfort of like, oh, this instant Band-Aid situation. I'm going to bring this in, and the worthiness, guys, the deservingness, the whole being that comes from looking at things that might feel gross or wrong or hard or heavy or bad. As children, we were told you're bad if you do that. And we integrate that as, oh, I'm a bad person if I have a tantrum. I'm a bad person if I cry. I'm a bad person if I have anger. And like coming to a place of shadow work allows us to come back to this divine wholeness. And it's so powerful.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh my God, that's so aligned that both of us are like, dad
Yeah.
would.
Yes, it always stems in childhood. I love the fact that you brought up this like good and bad situation, especially in children. I mean, I don't know if we have any moms in here, but you know, especially when we were younger,
Yeah.
we're kind of like put our personality parts of us in a bag, right? And we are associating, oh, that's negative, that's bad, don't do that, right? When you're overly sensitive when you get older, and like that's looked at negative, or you know, you're always angry all the time, right? All these different type of stereotypes that you give
Yeah.
people. But in truth, it's a lot of those shadow aspects that they had to put away for a very long time, and then they grow up and integrate that, and it's not healthy always. So this is why this work is so important. And I think, Lindsay, you really brought it home for that.
Mm. I am so excited about our 3-day challenge. The fact that we talked about what shadow work was from beyond just a definition standpoint, that we started to go into conflict avoidance and people pleasing. And hopefully that sparked you guys to consider what other things in your life might be kind of that like window into the shadow work that's calling to you. Today, we talked all about integration over alleviation. And we are both very, very excited to announce that we will be hosting a shadow work masterclass on
Woo!
July 7th. We want to go even deeper into this work for those of you who are called to shadow work. We are going to go further and further down the road of exploration, explanation, teaching, discussions. We want to give more case studies, more examples, and we also want to sit in active practice with you guys. As both of us have mentioned, shadow work is such a space of a lot of telling and not a lot of showing and doing. So we want to not only tell and explain and guide you, providing you with those support materials of what are some journal prompts that can help you go deeper, explore further, what can you come back to over and over again. But we also want to sit in active practice with you so we can do the before, the during, and the after, and really help you to understand and embody integration over alleviation. So,
Mm.
Jess, we'd love to hear from you a little bit more about what you're most excited about for this masterclass. And I'm going to type even more details into our chat about our session. Yep,
Yes, so
Wednesday, July
excited.
7th. Whoop. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you're excited for in this masterclass?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I didn't know if someone else said that. I'm so excited to just bring you, just get everyone together and actually do this as an active practice, an embodiment practice, really sit in with our shadows. It's going to be something that is going to be so transformational if you allow it to be, and things that you can take on moving forward from this class. So that's something Lindsay and I really want to approach this with, is that you're going to be learning, integrating, doing in this practice in this class, but you're also going to be able to start doing this on your own. With having the support, the guide, and also the resources for you. So I'm so excited. I know Lindsay's so excited. We have just so many things to bring to the masterclass that I can't even think about one thing to even talk about, because there's just so many exciting details to really bring in.
Yeah. So, a few of the technical details that we want to share with you guys. You will get access to the Hour in Our portal, which is going to host the replay. So, the 3-hour masterclass is going to be held in there once we have the replay so that you guys can watch it again and again, go through the practices. We'll be providing PDF support for journal prompts and how to move through these practices, the breakdown of the masterclass itself. Of course, we're going to do a drop-in meditation, get us all deeply connected to the body, work through the space of guided visualization, sound therapy, all of those juicy goodness pieces to get us started. We are going to go even deeper into what shadow work is, and also what shadow work is to each of us, so that you guys can hear how we define shadow work as more of a definition, and then how each of us has really started to understand shadow work for ourselves, which I think that's extremely important, because in this space, we define these words, but alignment, shadow work, manifestation, all of these things mean so much to each of us. And we not only want to share how we define it, but encourage you guys to define it for yourself. We want to talk about why shadow work. Like, that's important too, of like, why do you do shadow work? Why do I do shadow work? Why do we focus on shadow work so often with our clients? We're going to do way more case studies. We want to show you guys what it looks like for that shadow to make itself known, to work on it, work through it, and then integrate it. Of course, active practice. We want to spend the majority of the time in active practice so that we can set you guys up, guide you through it, and help you integrate afterwards. And then, as always, a lovely closing ritual, meditation, and ceremony as well. And again, you guys will get access to all of the replays in the portal. So if you would like to join this masterclass but can't join us live, you can still sign up for portal access of the replays and all the support material. We both have the link in our bio if you guys are interested in joining us. If you have questions, if you want to know more details, please direct message either one of us, chat with us. We'd love to walk you through the details of it, make sure this is aligned for you, and we'll definitely be posting even more on our stories and on our feed. And those of you who have signed up for this 3-day challenge, definitely make sure you guys check your emails, because we are sending you something extra special for being on the list.
So important. Yeah, I was gonna mention that everybody who's ready to jump in, now's the time.
Now is the time.
Aw, Heddle, you're so sweet. You guys are all amazing. I love this conversation. Oh, can't wait.
We cannot wait to go deeper and deeper and deeper into this, because both of us have had so much transmutation from shadow work and from approaching shadow work in this specific way of integrating. It's so much more than just like, oh, that's not so cool, I'm gonna like pretend it's not there, I'm gonna avoid it. I'm going to, as I described with that separation, I'm going to put my anger all the way over here because it's unsafe, because I'm unworthy. And so if I separate from it, it will make me a better person. It will make me more worthy. I'll be happier. We are so excited to hold you guys in the safest container possible and really support you in doing shadow work in a way that allows you to integrate and feel safe, allows you to show up in that vulnerability in a community that is so aligned. So if you are feeling called to us, if you are feeling called to this energetic signature, this group that we're calling in from our hearts, we would love to talk to you. We would love for you to sign up. And just a reminder, if you're on the list for the 3-day challenge, check your email, because you guys get something extra special. So thank you.
So excited.
For everybody who is here. Jess and I can't wait. We hope to hear from you guys. Let us know if you have questions. We will chat soon.
Thank you so much.
Jess.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.